Hey everybody, Scott back here for another minimalist tea session. No tea table, no dog on the tea table, no tea wares, just tea and me. I'm drinking something old, something I used to sell but I don't have anymore. I might have maybe 20 of these somewhere that I'll, maybe sell to people in like 10 years, maybe. It's 1997 Shaguan Tea Factory. Let's see, it actually says Shaguan there. Let's see. Shaguan. So it looks a lot like those 7581 wrappers. And it's just kind of was like Shaguan's very kind of like standard ripe brick. Before they were doing a lot of They were doing ripes. I think, back into the 80s. But by the 90s, they were doing a fair amount of ripes, but they didn't have a lot of different types of branding around them. There was the ripe tour, which I think they did the Xiaofa tour. And this brick, I'm trying to think what else they did. They did a lot of pressings for other companies as well, export type, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Taiwan as well. So Xiaguan Ripes are one of those things that, especially the early ones. So for example, this one I bought back in 2005. I think it's 2005 or 2006. I can't remember exactly because that was a long time ago. And they weren't super expensive. They weren't super cheap either. It was kind of one of those things, and I drank it and I was like, this is pretty good. Didn't really have wet pile taste, but it had like that kind of like Shaguan-y like sourness, which I think the early Shaguan teas, ripe teas especially, they were like, we're just going to use the exact same material or even rougher material than they would use in their raw pour, which was, like really intense. Since then, it's like post, 2000. Excuse me, I'm really tired, sleepy. Post 2010s, they really kind of like got a little more, getting close to around 2010, 2008, 2007. They started like fancy up their ripes a little bit, and that's a good thing. I think they just decided to blend different types of materials in, and then they also have been, post 2010s, they've really been doing like region-specific blends or region-specific ripes, which is pretty cool, and raws as well. So anyways, let's give this a little try. This is one of those teas that I really like to drink when I just want to have like a really mellow experience. Like maybe I'm also having, for me, this tea is very medicinal. Not because of the taste, but because for me it's very like settling. My stomach the last few days has been not so great. I think I've been overdoing it on the fiber. And for a while I was eating like raw moringa in my smoothies every morning with like all kinds of other like fibrous things. And now I look at vegetables and I'm just like, oh no, which is weird because I never feel like that. Usually I really like vegetables. I mean, I had some today. I'm recovering, but I think this tea has such a distinctive taste. It's been a little while since I've had it. It's really pops. It's really, I mean, gosh, it's what, 28 years of aging. But this is pure Kunming aged. So for ripes, like ripes especially, like wow, it just no wet pile taste. There's like this medicinal kind of like medicine and spice. There's no like earthy, funky mushroom, anything like that. It's just like, I don't know how to describe it. Only the older Xiaguan Ripes have this character. And it's the same ones that were kind of a little bit sourish when they were younger. And I think that's why, I remember when I came across these, I was like, oh wow, you know, it was like 2000, it was like almost 10 years old when I bought it, and I was like all excited, and then I brought it home and I tried it, and I was like, oh, this is okay. It was like a little bit sour, but now it's like, that's completely gone. Like, it's actually for quite a few years now, it's been completely gone, but now it's just really, full body, warm, and really kind of like a pungent oiliness to it that I really, really like. And the tea soup, you're not going to really be able to see it. It's just got that real nice burgundy, ultra clear. So it's not like soy sauce where you can't see through it at all. Like if you held it up to a light, it would be fairly transparent, but with a deep color. Oops. Let's see, pour another one. I have another thing waiting here. But today has been Santana Day. Actually last night as I was going for a walk, I listened to Europa, Santana Europa, Earth's Cry, Heaven's Smile. I think that's what they put in parentheses as the name of the song. But it's just one of those extremely powerful guitar instrumentals by Santana, and it's, if you haven't heard it, it's just absolutely stunning. I'll definitely check that out. And what else? Now I'm just still reading East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I'm at the point in the book where he's moved into the, he's purchased an old Spanish land holding in, outside of Salinas, excuse me, and he's trying to get a neighbor to help him dig wells and find water so he can turn it into a lush paradise for his expecting wife, expecting a baby. But yeah, I don't want to give it away. There's so much to it. It's really intense. It's really intense. It's really beautiful, but it's a really intense story too, because there's this underlying current of just like, you just get this feeling of just underlying like feeling that like things are going to get really bad. But maybe that's because I read Grapes of Wrath not very long ago, and everything's just really bad from the start to the end. Spoiler alert. Yeah, I love it. And this is a tea that I can drink. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, this is kind of like cutoff time for tea. But this tea I'm not at all worried about. If anything, it'll make me sleep better. That and wielding a pickaxe for like 3 hours. I climbed up in a tree and tried to prune it from the inside because the top is it's such a wide tree. It's like 30 feet wide, and I'm trying to trim the top a little bit because it's just like, so I'm like climbing up in the tree, and it's like branches are snaking everywhere, and it's just like, ooh. And then the tree was so wide that when I lop off a little bit off the top to keep it from getting too tall, I'm trying to throw the little branches off, and I can't even throw them to the other side of the tree. It's so wide. So I'm really tired. My arms feel like, yeah, there's nothing like a really good aged ripe tea. What's interesting is like, I feel like this tea, I feel like Shaguan knew what they were doing. I think they were just like, well, these teas are meant for aging. they did their job, you know. They're not like Monghai Tea Factory. Xiaguan Ripes have never been a particularly, I think for them, particularly, I mean, they must sell them because they have quite a few. But I've always liked Xiaguan Ripe. I like I like how it tastes. I don't mind if it's younger and has a little bit of, I don't want to say sour, it's not really the right word. I don't know how to describe it. But anyways, oh yeah, I am minutes away from listing that 2007 V93 Taiwan stored tea. I'm ordering some other Taiwan stored teas, some stocks. That's exciting. Lincang Impression 2024 has been pressed and photographed. It was actually pressed quite a while ago, but it's finally been photographed. I'm going to list that as well. I'm going to list some Kokang, Guogan, Myanmar War as well. And also some Big Snow Mountain, Yongda Big Snow Mountain, purple white tea Dragon Balls. That's a mouthful. So those are some teas coming down the pipeline, and they're all really solid teas, and they're all really different too. So you've got your Taiwan stored ripe, you've got your Myanmar Shumpur, you've got purple white Dragon Balls. You got it all. You got and of course a young YS pressing, a blend of teas from Lincang. Let me know if I got anybody with that yawn. All right, a couple more sips here and then we'll call it quits. I don't want to go rambling on and on and on. It's amazing. You just pour, store it somewhere, not too wet, not too dry, keep it dark. You know, I mean, it can't be a total shit pour, but like, I'll bet you whoever was in charge of this production, Shaguan, was like just cranking it out. Like, they were just big ass wet piling, huge batch, tea from probably all over Lincang and you know, like Dali, Nanjian, Yunxian, Mengku maybe. Just kind of like, but probably like whatever leaf grades that they had from all kinds of different harvests, and they, you know, and I'm not saying they didn't care. Of course they cared. They didn't mess it up or anything. But it's amazing how good an old factory ripe pour like Shaguan could be. Even though, I mean, I can't even imagine how cheap this tea was in 1997. It was probably less than 10 renminbi per brick, my guess. My guess is it was probably 30 something renminbi a kilo, if that. Wild, I know. And I was in Yunnan in 1998. And that's when I started drinking pour, and I thought, wow. But I didn't have the money, and I didn't have the vision at that time. I had a little bit of vision, but definitely no money. I wasn't buying. I bought a few things actually. But remember, I did buy some Shaguan teas and some other cakes and sent them back to the U.S. And I went to Pete's Coffee and Tea in Berkeley, California, with these teas that I had shipped. I think they took 3 months when I went home. Actually, I think I shipped them to my dad because I went somewhere else. I went to Indonesia and Malaysia after that. So my dad had them, and then when I came back to the U.S. and I went over to Pete's Coffee and Tea with like these pour tours and stuff, and like met with somebody there, I forget. And they were nice to me. This is like, I mean, at Pete's Coffee and Tea was a real small, pretty small local Bay Area thing, I think, at that time. But the guy at the place was like, oh, we drank it, and he was like super polite. And he's like, yeah, I really like this tea, but this format, like, it's like, I feel like people aren't like ready for it. So that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy format, especially for a real coffee focused, business. Although they did have tea in the title, but to be fair, I don't know anything. I have not followed the company since. I know they've grown and they've gotten to be fairly big. But yeah, that's a true story. Very nice, very nice. Oily, pungent, thick, spicy, warm. This tea is unique. I wish I had more that I could sell, but I really don't. I have 10 or 20 maybe, some in a box somewhere. But anyways, that's about it. Sorry to drink a tea that y'all can't drink, but it is interesting to talk about these teas from the past and the stories around them, and about Xiaguan teas and Xiaguan Ripes, especially from that era. I think if you get a chance, if you see some, they might be really interesting. But please don't confuse this wrapper with the very generic C&MP wrapper, because it's very similar. But in fact, it does say Shaguan on it, and it's got the kind of vertical lines in the paper, like this, really subtle. It's just the way this old paper. It's kind of a slightly waxy type paper, shiny. I'm gonna see if I can find some. There might be some out there. It would be fun to offer it. But anyways, hopefully that'll heal my stomach. Or maybe I just stay away from like the fiber balm in the morning. Anyways, we'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye.